Hello, everyone. Welcome. MTL Sports, episode 145. Super Bowl is over. It's done. Many of our prayers have been answered. Chiefs lose to the Eagles. Super Bowl 59. We'll talk about that shortly. Plus, we'll recap the UFC. The UFC 312, I believe, was Saturday night. A lot of big fights. We'll go over that as well. So, with all that being said, guys, stay tuned. Welcome back. MTL Sports here. Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans this Sunday. We did our preview last week. If you didn't see that, go check it out. It's a little bit too late now, but we still have some good content. Lawrence had the Chiefs. I was praying to God that the Eagles would somehow pull this one out, even though they were up against the Chiefs, the NFL, and the Zebras. And honestly, Lawrence didn't look like the Zebras were not going to help the Chiefs in this one. What was the final score? Like 46-22 or something like that, right?
I think it was
No, 40-22. 40-22. But it was 40-6. It was like 40-6 in like the fourth quarter, so it wasn't even close.
Yeah, the Eagles took off the gas because they purely just did not care anymore. It had been long over.
Yeah, so let's talk about it. What did you think? I don't think anyone expected belt to ass. This was belt to ass. I think at one point it was like 34-6 or 34-0. Chiefs didn't score for a whole half. I mean, it was just ass whooping. I did not expect this. What are your thoughts?
Well, the big thoughts is this affected the Chiefs O-line had zero answer. I mean, they got murdered the whole game. It was horrifying to watch. The defense is secondary. Nobody could cook the Chiefs defense this bad all season until this game. It really just put into words how much stronger the NFC was than they were giving credit for. This is the team
I
that
agree.
went crazy and went 15-1. In the AFC, or was it 15-1?
15-2, but they lost the last game on purpose.
Yeah. I mean that's crazy.
Yeah. Initial thoughts for me, I think this reminded me back of the Tampa Bay Super Bowl when Tom Brady first year in Tampa Bay, and they had Mahomes running around like chicken with his head cut off. It seemed like the same type of game, but the Eagles only brought 4 all game. So I think if we look back at the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, I think Tampa Bay brought pressure. That's what Bruce Arians is known for. Todd Bowles is what he's known for. He was the DC that Bruce Arians team. So Todd Bowles is known for bringing pressure. So the fact that the Eagles got to Mahomes with only their 4 D linemen, Sweat, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, forget the other guy. Maybe his name is Williams. I don't know. Not too sure. But the fact that they got to Mahomes with only 4 guys for most of the game and dropped everyone back is amazing. And like you said, the Chiefs O-line kind of held up for most of the year. Granted, they didn't really play against this good of a D line all year. But the fact that they folded so quickly, I mean, you look at the first drive, it's like, wow, this was going to be a long night for them. And the fact that the Zebras there was nothing they could do, honestly. I think what it came down to is, when Mahomes doesn't have a great O-line and the Zebras don't help him, I think this is the outcome of games, plain and simple. I think it's easy to fluster Mahomes. I don't think that it's a hard thing to do. If you fluster him, you make him have to make quick decisions. I think you have a good chance of winning because he just turns the ball over. He becomes just like any of the other quarterbacks. So that's my initial thoughts. If we look deeper though, obviously the Eagles couldn't run the ball for a good chunk of that game. How impressed were you about Jalen Hurts just making good decisions? He had the 1 interception, but other than that, he was making good decisions. So how do you feel about his performance? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She just had to make. The Chiefs left the guys wide open. I mean, they were just running zones, and the guys are just perfectly placed right there in the zone. Each scramble for a bit. There's just one Eagles receiver always butt ass naked open. It's like how did you guys survive the whole season? Like what wide receiving groups were you facing? I get the Bills one wasn't that impressive. The only one you faced
You
that
look
was
at the
impressive was the
Texans.
yeah.
The Texans, I mean, two of their guys are down. So there you go again. And then they only played two playoff games prior to this. And we look back in the regular season, they played against us. We only had Jamar. Jamar still kind of lit them up. So that's that. Just imagine if T was playing in that game. I think that was like a week 3 game. Um, the
Defense got
Ravens,
exposed.
the Ravens, I mean, they were full strength, but Mark Andrews was coming back off of his injury, so he didn't look like himself. So it was basically just Likely and Zay Flowers in that one. So I think that's the most comparable, wouldn't you say? And the Chiefs won that one by Likely toes being out of bounds, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it
um,
just goes to show you that when it came down to it, the Chiefs really didn't play anybody all season. I mean, they just beat up all the number ones of the AFC, but all the number ones in the AFC, when they played them at those times, the, the wide receiver groups they had to go against were never fully assembled, put together. Um, and then that's purely how you got to look at it. I think, what was it, the only other time that the Chiefs got scared was it one time in Atlanta? Or, yeah, when they were playing Atlanta, had to
yeah,
get ref ball involved. The Vikings, you can see what two really good wide receivers did over there. They had to get ref ball out of that one.
yeah, I agree with you. I think we can look at their schedule right here on the side, and they didn't really play anyone. When we talk about good wide receiving cores, like I said, the first week Baltimore, Mark Andrews wasn't all the way back. Mark Andrews actually didn't really catch fire until like later in the season. Probably towards after the bye week is when he started catching on. So you can't really say that. T was out against Cincinnati. The Atlanta game, you already went over that. Um, yeah, they really didn't go against. I mean, even San Fran, I think Ayuk was out by then, or he got hurt in that game. So when you look at it, they didn't go against a good receiving core, at least fully healthy. So their secondary wasn't exposed until this game. Basically, you know, the Chiefs' two weaknesses this year, the offensive line, which was beginning to get exposed, um, all season. It was there were water coming through the cracks, but it wasn't gushing open until this game. Then the secondary, like you said, this was the first game they went against a competent receiving core, and they got exposed. Once they traded Snead, I said it during the preview. Remember, I said they traded Snead. Their secondary is not going to be as good. Yeah, they'll still be good enough to get it done, but if they go against a decent receiving core, they'll get cooked. And we see it right here. Um, and like I said, if Mahomes doesn't have a good, if he doesn't have a good O line, he kind of regresses. And we've seen other quarterbacks who don't have good O lines still handle pressure better than this. So this is just his Achilles heel. You look back at the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, same thing happened when pressure got to him. He just regresses. So how do you think that looks on Mahomes when we've seen multiple examples now? Two in the two biggest in two big games being the Super Bowl. If he doesn't have a good O line, he regresses. So how do you think that looks on him in the big picture?
Nothing. I think he's fine. I think he's won enough games that we can't really say anything about it. Tom Brady
Yeah.
had the same way. There's just sometimes against the Giants that pressure got there and got Brady. It's just shit happens. But the fact that he's been to that many Super Bowls and so many variables will have to go right each game, he's earned his stripes not to be criticized.
Yeah, but I don't think Brady ever got his ass kicked like this, though. Like, I think in 2 Super Bowls, in the two examples I'm giving, Mahomes got his ass beat. So
Yeah, but we don't say Peyton Manning was horrible, but he got his ass kicked against Seattle.
the Legion of Boom is legit. I think people do say that. He did not play well.
Yeah, but we don't say that Tom Brady or sorry that Peyton Manning um, just wasn't a good quarterback because he couldn't handle the pressure. There's plenty of games that Peyton Manning handled the pressure.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not a good quarterback. I'm saying that's his deficiency. Whereas other quarterbacks
I think a
knowingly
lot
don't
of
have good O lines and they
yeah, but I
perform
feel like
better.
a lot of quarterbacks don't make it to the Super Bowl with bad O lines. I mean that's another thing. The Eagles made it to the Super Bowl with the best probably O line. The
Yeah, that's
Chiefs
true.
made it there with a below average bad O line. They also just didn't have a D line either. They couldn't get any pass rush coming through the middle, coming through the edge against the Eagles. Jalen Hurts had all day to throw. I mean, overall, it was just a whole Chiefs blunder of a game. But Patrick Mahomes is completely fine. I mean, we've seen him handle pressure in other games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to say he's a bad quarterback. I'm not trying to say I view him differently. He's still going to be all time great. My point is, other quarterbacks would have handled that pressure better. And I have two plus examples of him. When he doesn't have to go to a line, he kind of regresses to the state. So that's all I'm trying to point out right there. And like you said, not many quarterbacks get their team with, I mean, I would say his O line's average. I'm not going to go below average, but um, any team with at least an average O line, most of those teams don't go to the Super Bowl. So the fact that he willed them all the way back to the Super Bowl this year is pretty impressive, knowing all the injuries that happened with the Chiefs. So you got to give him some credit. He just didn't perform well when they needed him to do when they needed him. Um, Now, do you think Hurts deserved the MVP? A lot of people were saying maybe he should have went to Sweat, maybe he should have went to Dijon.
I don't think they've ever done it before, but if they could just give it to a whole unit, they should just give it to the whole D line. Where you give the D line a name. What nickname do you guys want to be remembered as? And that's what we're going to call this MVP to. It was the four guys on the O line, or sorry, D line,
D line.
that deserve everything. Cooper DeJean, pick six, goes to the D line. Patrick Mahomes not putting up points until the third quarter, D line. Yeah, you can say Jalen Hurts had an amazing game too, but I mean, one of the touchdowns was Cooper DeJean, and then another one of the touchdowns, I think he went like 6, 7 yards. Didn't have to go
He
very
threw
far.
like a little flat route to AJ for one. Another one he tush pushed himself in. So I don't know. And the other one was
I
Devontae.
would have just given it to the whole D line as a whole. Like that was just like the complete perfect game from a unit.
Yeah, I agree. At the very least, maybe co MVPs. I don't know if they ever done that in the Super Bowl, but maybe give Jalen Hurts a co MVP along with I don't know Sweat or someone on the D line. I feel like someone on the D line deserved it. Um, Bond, he played well. He definitely in the running too. Um, yeah. Any other thoughts about the Super Bowl? I thought wasn't a good Super Bowl in terms of football game. It was not good. It was an ass
This,
whooping, but
the commercials were actually pretty decent this year.
yeah, I enjoyed them. Um, I didn't see any that I hated. I mean, usually I use like one or two that you're like, all right, let's move on. But I didn't really have that feeling this year.
The 2B ones kept coming up, and I kept thinking they were very strange. And I kept thinking it's very interesting that a streaming company called Tubi that no one really knows what that is, has like, I don't know, I think they had 3 ads where they said it was $8 million a piece, so $24 million into Super Bowl ads. And then they were actually pretty decently funny or entertaining, but it was just like, how does this company have $24 million?
Yeah, it's a good question. They're like the free online TV thing, right? They were
Yeah.
actually streaming the Super Bowl, so maybe
They were, yeah.
they trying to recoup that money. Um, Shout out to Tubi. I never watched Tubi, so I don't know too much. Um, let's move on to I guess season recaps. We'll just do these two teams, and then next episode we'll move on to divisions. Let's start with the losers in this one, the Chiefs. How would you grade their season, Lawrence? And how do they get back to this game next season? What are the steps to do that?
I mean, they got to the Super Bowl, and no matter the way we say they did or didn't, you got to give it an A, just flat A. Like, you made it there. Now, if we're going to, Super Bowl has big impact, like, it was your final exam, I guess we have to bump it down to, like, an A minus. They did really good the whole school year. That final exam just really kicked their ass.
Fair enough. And what do you think they need to do in terms of roster building to get back?
Well, honestly, they're probably, in my opinion, they're a 2-year out team. I think there's some guys on the team that have to circulate out if they're more important roles and have other guys fill in. I think they need to add a tight end and not free agency. I would say draft, because you can't believe that Travis Kelce has 3 more good years left. He's probably got about 1.
Yeah.
So you need his next, I guess, legacy builder. But I don't honestly believe that it's going to be Noah Gray or the guy right behind him. So I think you just need another big body, strong hand guy. And I think you need another number 1 wide receiver. I think D-Hop's a little too old. He's more of a get you a good catch, which is kind of what you already used Travis for. You just need a little bit more speed, sure hand guy, because you already got Worthy for speed.
They have Rice, but they don't know how Rice is going to look next year. Yeah, I'm gonna give them an A minus too. Like you said, they got to the Super Bowl, so I can't give them anything less than an A. But you didn't win, so I can't give you a flat out A. And they get the ass kicked, so that's also that's gonna give you to A minus, borderline B plus territory. Yeah, I think now if they draft well, I think they could be back next year. Now, do I think they'll draft well? I don't think so. I think there's a lot more needs than they have draft picks, even though they have an extra third from trading Snead to the Titans. They got to fix the secondary. That's probably priority 2. Priority 1 is definitely fix the O-line. They got to get probably a left tackle. Probably got to get both tackles, and you probably got to get 1 guard. Whether that's through the draft or free agency. You got to probably get at least 3 O-linemen. You're right. They got to get a wideout number 1. Do you get that in the first round? Do you draft a tackle first round? Or do you go get the tight end from Pennsylvania? He's Penn State. He's probably the best tight end in this class. Do you just maybe try to move up? If I don't know where he's projected, but if you're the Chiefs, you're probably picking 31. So do you move up and get him?
I don't think you'd have to move up and get him. I think he'd be there.
Yeah, so depending on where he's projected, maybe you look at him instead of O-lineman, or maybe or even a wideout number 1, because you really only have Worthy. You don't know how Rice is going to look next year coming off injury. Like I said, Hop is getting up there in age. I wouldn't trust him. Kelce probably has 2 years max. He looks old. He looks slow. His first catch, he immediately covered up like this man's not trying to run open field anymore. He's like, fuck that. I'm going to catch it and get down. So you need someone that can do what Kelsey did when he was younger. And you're right, Noah Gray reminds me more of like a Mike Gesicki, like a wide receiver masquerading as a tight end. It's not really a physical guy. Um, so you got like probably what O line first, then secondary, then wide out, tight end three. So there's just a lot of needs. I don't think that they can address them all in one season, but if they somehow do, maybe they'll be back here. But I think they'll have a down year. Um, and it's time for someone else in the AFC to have a chance. It's okay because Tom Brady went 10 years uh, in between some of his Super Bowls. So it's okay if Mahomes isn't in there for 1 or 2 years. Um, looking at the Eagles, I guess obviously they're A plus. They won Super Bowl. Uh, what do you think they need to do to get back and potentially go back to back champs?
Not get absolutely shredded by free agency. That's purely what they have to do. I think this team has like one more year left in it if it stays together. Because after that, these guys are going to be so expensive. Like Zach Bond, he's probably out the door. After the Super Bowl,
He's gonna cost a pretty penny.
he he was a 1 year rental. You can get another 1 year rental in there because you don't want to have to give up the money that you're going to have to pay him. That you're not going to be able to pay another position. If I'm not mistaken, is it Sweat or which one of them on the O line is available? It's gonna have to get re-signed. I think one of them has to get re-signed.
Maybe it's Sweat. I think the other two are like other two or three are like rookies, right? I don't know Smith, Jalen Carter. I think the guy from Louisiana Tech. I think they all still in the rookie deals.
I know one of them is available, and everybody's gonna want him after the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And offensively, what do you think? Do you think they're set offensively? I know Jalen, Saquon, Devontae, and AJ are locked up, and I think Lane Johnson and Dickinson. I think the whole O line is locked up. So you keep that together.
I think they're fine. I think the team overall, as a whole, is just completely fine. They're gonna make it through. Um, Offensively, there's no change you need to make. You don't need wide. Only thing that's nitpicky is adding wide receiver depth for injuries, but you'll figure it out when push comes to shove. You'll figure it out. All you gotta do is keep your O line, and you're good to go, and hope no injuries happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think what they do have to do is avoid being Tampa Bay and then just bringing everyone back and not improving. Because I think you just giving everyone a blueprint. Because if you have the same team, then everyone already has a blueprint. So you got to have some wrinkles in there. I think secondary is probably where they probably need to address the most. I think Big Play Slay said this is probably his last year with the Eagles, even maybe retirement. I think he said it's a possibility. So you got to replace him. Cooper DeJean, obviously he's a rookie, so he's still going to be there. CJ Gardner Johnson, maybe you don't have to replace him, but maybe you look for a backup for him. He's getting up there. So probably address the secondary. But the Eagles are pretty much like take the best player available. So if there's another D lineman there at whatever pick they have in the first round or second round or whatever the case is, they'll most likely pick the best player available. And that's worked for them. So you can't fault their strategy. But definitely secondary. Maybe get some O-line help. Bless you. You're never going to have too much offensive linemen, especially if you draft them high and, they work out well for you. So offensively, probably that's what I'm doing too, is maybe just bolster the O-line with some backups. Maybe if you don't bring back Jahan Dotson, maybe go sign another veteran. Maybe you go trade for Cooper Kupp. I don't know what the Rams want for him, but if you can get Cooper Kupp and restructure his deal so his cap hit's a little bit lower than $20 million, maybe you get him for like 12 to 15 million per year. That might be a nice little pickup for them. Have a legit 3 wide receivers. That's might be something, maybe a long shot, but who knows? The Eagles like to pull deals off like that.
Isn't
Maybe they really
funny
switch.
how you can look at this Eagles team and somehow they're under the salary cap, and you're just like, in a true
Yeah,
world, they wouldn't be.
it wouldn't be. They just got an owner that's willing to spend. Like he'll just throw out the cash up front. If you put all the money up front, there's not really a big cap hit. So when you have an owner willing to spend, this is what the team's going to look like. Um, it worked out for him this year. Um, the rumors about possibly Miles going there is insane, knowing how much he gets paid, and people were still saying, yeah, he will look good in the Eagles uniform, and it's possible. That just shows you that the salary cap is BS. Because if a team like the Eagles can possibly get Myles Garrett, that's insane.
Yeah, unless he's willing to take a tremendous pay cut, which, let's face it, these guys don't take pay cuts.
Yeah. Yeah. But, man, A+ for the Eagles. Shout out to them for beating the Chiefs. No three-peat. That's what I like to see. UFC. I don't know if you had a chance to watch the UFC, Lawrence, the fight on Saturday night. I know you were busy, but do you have any thoughts?
I ended up at a B-dubs watching it. I did pretty good outside of my Suarez blunder. Some of the guys at the table said they were going to bet Weili Zhang, and I was convinced from hearing them at the table that the parlay that I put together that was perfect up until that point probably wasn't looking strong. So
Yeah.
I hedged myself and it worked out. That was a quick audible only right at the end. But
Okay, fair
outside of
enough.
that, like Duplessis, the broken nose on Strickland, scary.
Yeah, I didn't watch the fight, but I saw the video, and that man nose was all the way fucked up. He reminds me of what's his name? Who's the other guy that gets beat up all the time and runs his mouth? Um,
Kobe Covington.
yeah, the same shit, dude. You just run your mouth and just get beat up. Sometimes guys just gotta know when to stop talking. You get beat up that bad, bro. Like, come on
Agree with you.
now. So yeah, shout out to Duplessis retaining the championship. His next fight is going to be against what's his name? I can't pronounce the guy's name, but it starts with an M. The number 3 guy, right?
The one he called out.
Yeah. I think Dana said he's
it's
going to
number
fight him
3
next.
guy. Hey, I'm honestly,
Yeah, so that should be interesting.
I'm honestly fine with him saying fuck it and not trying to call up or not allowing Alex Pereira talk and everything. Because
Yeah.
I do agree, like, the people be moving around in the divisions like way too often. Because there's people who are waiting in line to try to get to this fight. And he's only defended it twice. This is his second time.
Yeah.
So, like, dude, he has to, like, go through his own division first. Now, unless Alex Pereira wants to move down to his division, then maybe, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll see. I think Dana also said that John Bon Jones and Aspinall, he's working on it for International Fight Week. I forgot whatever week that is, but he said he's working on that.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I believe it when I see it. I think John really wants to fight Pereira. I think that's what he's going to go for. That's the mega fight. The UFC wants to make the most money. They should just do that.
Yeah, just making, officially strip him of his title. You don't have this. It's Aspinall's. You don't want to fight him. That's fine. Let's make the big money, and then you'll never have to John Jones will never have to wonder if there was ever a heavyweight that was better than him.
Yeah.
You'll never have to wonder.
I agree. There was one more thing that how do you like Izzy? He got knocked out again a couple weeks ago. He agreed to go train with Chamu. How do you feel about that?
Man, honestly, I'm a little done with Adesanya because every single fight that he keeps having, it's just not.
He looks good, but then he just gets knocked out.
the glass chin.
Yeah,
Who else ran into it? Volkanovski, and they were in the same camp. And then technically Usman too.
yeah, he was meant to. Yeah, I think it's just time to hang it up. Definitely, if you lose one more, you got to hang it up. But you lost two in a row. I think if it was me, I would call it, bro. It's hard to come back from, like you said, a glass shin. Because once you have it, it don't go away, even in boxing.
This is true.
Last thing I want to go over: George Mason won their homecoming game against Rhode Island. Great game. My new favorite player, number 22, I think his name is Big,
Big.
the
I think
freshman,
it's 23. I think he's 23.
23. I don't know if he's been if Coach Skin has been playing him, Lawrence, but this kid is good. This kid can shoot threes, play makes.
Well, see,
I
that's
like
the
this
problem.
kid.
We do need somebody who shoots threes because we get very. I think we're ranked 268 in 3 pointers made. And if we get into
Yeah,
March
probably.
Madness and we don't have a single guy that can, knock down threes at all, we're in trouble. So we got to develop somebody.
Yeah. We got to get some 3-point shooting down. Mason, I think we gained 4 votes in the AP. My prediction of double digits did not come, but we're pretty close. Maybe next week we'll get to double digits. I think they've been playing well. I think maybe if they would have played better against JW at GW, then we probably would have had way more votes. But that game was way too close. They have a free throw
Unfortunately,
issue.
VCU is ranked higher than us still, technically.
Yeah, technically they're still higher. And ESPN, I read an article today that ESPN still has them as like more of a lock to make the tournament than Mason, which I don't agree with. But I don't even know if these ESPN guys even watch college basketball like that. Because Mason's just playing way too good to have less of a chance than VCU.
Agreed.
Some sites have us projected as a 12 seed. So I guess there's some hope. I think we can make the tournament. We're still a month out, but I think we got a good shot. Don't you agree?
I think it was 25. 25 wins is our lucky number. If we can make it to 25 wins, then we're pretty much almost auto-locked a spot. There'll be 2 teams from the A10.
Probably us and whoever wins, right?
I think they would just have 2 teams in general. If it was VCU that won the tournament or George Mason that won the tournament, where it could get crazy is if Mason wins the regular season, VCU goes to the final against a Dayton, and Dayton wins it. Then you're talking about the chances of 3 getting in, but
yeah,
I think it was on Bracketology, like .com. The sweet spot magic number for Mason to make it almost as a guarantee was 25 wins. And honestly, the only 2 games I'm really nervous about is the St. Joe's game the week before the VCU game and the VCU game. Because the St. Joe's game is going to be caught them off guard. They were looking at VCU. They weren't ready.
Yeah, 25 wins will be 6 games. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 games left. I think we can get it done. I think St. Joe's has a projected lottery pick, if I'm not mistaken. So they definitely have firepower if that's true. And VCU is always a tough team. They always play us well. And we're at VCU. That place will be rocking. So we'll have to see. Anything else before we head on out?
No, that's it for me.
All right, that's all I got. MTL Sports, episode 145. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening on Spotify, all that good stuff. We will see you later this week. Peace.